Could we be seeing a Sonic movie sequel? Let's discuss right now.
I got hot sauce in my bag, swag.
A quick shout to me. Yeah, they go by me, and then there's a few random numbers I'm not gonna read off, but this is a fan art Metal Duckles that they drew, and I really like this one because not only does it have Metal Duckles, but you also got Sonic and Crash in the background, and they're all wearing the basketball jerseys with DX on it, and they're playing a good game of basketball. And I'm just like, well, this is a drawing because in real life, I am definitely not a basketball player, but yeah, this is actually really cool, and I'm so glad that Sonic and Crash have decided to join my team, so thank you so much, I really appreciate it. Anyway, hello there beautiful human, my name is RidersDX, welcome to my channel, where today I've got some really interesting things to talk about in terms of the Sonic movie. And so with the Sonic movie being a month away from release, there's been a lot of press being done with the cast of the movie, and they've been answering so many questions from so many different interviewers, and I found a lot of interesting points that they talked about that you may have not have heard before. And so I have made this video to gather up 10 different things that were mentioned through these interviews that I thought would be really interesting for people following the movie to know about. And so one of those quotes includes a possible tease for a sequel. I don't know. Let's see all the clips and discuss it. So the first couple clips comes from this meeting that apparently was given to a lot of different influencers that are family focused, and so that was a bit of a specific demographic to target with the movie, I guess, but it is targeting kids, so I guess that's the reason. But Jeff Fowler made a few interesting comments here that I wanted to point out. So at number one thing that Jeff Fowler said was that he thought that the most challenging thing about making this movie was making Sonic relatable. So here's what Jeff had to say.
I think it's just finding a way to really make everything as relatable as possible. I think you really want, action is fun to design, comedy, you bring funny people together and they do funny stuff. I think what makes movies like this really land and be great is heart and emotion and relatability. So yeah, it's a lot of fun that Sonic has super speed and that he's awesome and fast talking, but you want the audience to really be rooting for him on a deeper level, on an emotional level. So I think that creating that relatability and that kind of connection, and for kids and parents and anyone of all ages to see a little bit of themselves in Sonic and to be rooting for him for that reason, that really is what I think we worked the hardest on.
And when people online said, no, we don't like it, go back and try again.
We had time, sure. Make some changes.
Comments are very valid because, well, Sonic is a blue hedgehog that runs at the speed of light, you know, that's not very relatable at all for anyone. But you know, I think Sonic has a bit of an innocence to him that makes him very endearing to people. I think that's what Jeff is talking about, you know, trying to appeal to that side of Sonic and really make people care about this guy, because you know, this could be the very first exposure to Sonic for a lot of people, kids in particular. So I thought that was really important to make sure that part of the movie was fleshed out as much as possible so that new people and new fans can get into this franchise, which is something you always want to be happening no matter how long a franchise runs for, no matter how many fans you gather. At number two, this is something that may be a little bit obvious at this point, but Jeff Fowler said it was absolutely necessary to listen to the fans' feedback about the movie design. So here is what he had to say.
I do want to address the fact that when you guys first released the trailer, some of the fans said, hey, this isn't the Sonic that we sort of envisioned for this movie. What was your reaction to that, and how did it sort of alter the course of the film?
It was just message received. I think it was, you got to respect the fans. I mean, they're the reason we had the opportunity to make this movie. They've loved Sonic for almost 30 years. You got to listen to that. I mean, we were so excited about the story we have to tell, so excited, had so much fun making the movie. We were just really wanted the audience and the core fans to be on board in a big way. And if that meant going back to the drawing board a little bit with Sonic, then we were happy to do it. And could not be more excited about where we landed.
I think it's really cool that Jeff had such a great attitude in terms of the fans' reaction to the design and what he did about it. You know, this is his first big motion picture, I think, in terms of his role as a director, and so it was very important for him to get this right because this movie could make or break his career. But from the looks of it, he had a really great attitude in terms of how to approach the feedback and how to implement that into his work. I just think that the Sonic movie is such an interesting story. It's going to go down as one of the best things that happened to Sonic, in my opinion. interesting, and even if the movie turns out to be kind of at least the lead up to it was really iconic already to me. And number 3, Jim Carrey did this interview with someone else where he got to the point where he was talking about a potential sequel and whether or not he would be interested in playing Eggman in. So here's what he had to say.
Is there a cinematic character you've played that you would have maybe loved to have explored over the course of multiple episodes or multiple seasons?
Well, you know, I had the opportunity. I mean, I was always somebody who wanted to move on to new territory and discover new things, so I never wanted to stick in the same idea too long. I could have had 5 franchise characters, you know, but then I wouldn't have had Eternal Sunshine. Then I wouldn't have had, you know, Man on the Moon.
Right.
Truman Show.
I would rather have Eternal Sunshine than The Mask 2, to be honest with you.
Yes, me too. Yeah. Me too. So you know, I don't know if it's that I've gotten older or whatever it is, or the nature of this part. This part, I wouldn't mind going to do another one because it was so much fun. First of all, you know, and a real challenge to try to, you know, convince people that I have a triple-digit IQ.
Wasn't surprised at all, to be honest with you.
And but there's so much room, you know. Robotnik has not reached his apotheosis. Look it up.
I think it's really cool that Jim Carrey loves the character so much. I mean, Dr. Robotnik is an amazing character. You know, that's why we all love him as a villain, because he's just like the perfect villain. But there's so much more that Jim Carrey probably can explore with him, because I think the transformation either happens close to the end or at the very end, where Jim Carrey transforms from what he looks like in the movie to what Dr. Robotnik actually looks like with a bald head and that devious mustache and everything. And so I think there's a lot more that Jim Carrey could do with Dr. Robotnik in a potential sequel or even like a trilogy. And I know there's been rumors of that going around in terms of like, oh, this movie is being set up to like have a trilogy or at least have a sequel. But because of the fact that Jim Carrey openly said that he would want to do a sequel, and he wasn't even really prompted to do that, the question that he was asked was very general. He was asked about any film he's ever done that he would have wanted to expand upon in terms of a second movie or a TV show. Jim Carrey went directly for the Sonic movie. So I thought that was an interesting thing that he said. Maybe it's something that's in the talks right now, and maybe it's something that's on the table as an option. I think that's really exciting, but it is very dependent on how this movie does, so we will have to see. And number 4, Jim Carrey describes Sonic as a bit of an innocence. I'll let you see the clip for yourself and kind of see what he means by that.
I think that Sonic represents the power of innocence, the power of play, you know, the electricity in a pure soul who just is doing his life because there is fun to be had, you know. And that's my philosophy about life in the first place. You have to find something to do in life that not only serves people, but serves you in your heart, makes you feel like a child, makes you go, you know, I get to wake up every day and do what I love. And that's, you know, that's the dream for everybody, you know.
And so the way that he explains Sonic actually reminds me a lot of how I would explain SpongeBob to me. I really didn't see Sonic in as much of that light as I did with SpongeBob, but it looks like that's what they're going for in terms of this movie, because I feel like that's something that Sonic hasn't really exhibited in a while. I mean, he has that really fun personality in the recent games and such. He cracks a lot of jokes, but it really doesn't come off as like innocent. It's more so as just like being a goofball, I guess, you know, having someone that's been through it all, has had tons of experiences already, but he's just like having fun with life because he's like, well, life is short, so I'm just gonna do what I can. But the way that Jim Carrey describes Sonic, it seems more like Sonic is very naive and doesn't really know much about the world and is very excited for everything that's happening, which is very well the case, it looks like, for this Sonic in particular, but not the Sonic that I think we're all used to. Nonetheless, I think it was a very interesting explanation of how he interprets Sonic. At number 5, Jim Carrey also went in to describe how he thought of Dr. Robotnik. So here's what he had to say, and I think this is one of the best things I am covering within this video, by the way.
The wonderful thing about Robotnik is he is analogous to a lot of the insane ego that's running us, you know, in all different kinds of realms of life. The greed, the avarice, the self-centeredness, the self-dealing, the lack of a conscience, you know, that we see in a lot of different realms. Robotnik signifies that. He is a madman with a triple-digit IQ, and, you know, like a lot of those good folks, those clever genius types in Silicon Valley, that's not a microchip on his shoulder, you know? That's a quantum database of bitterness. And he hates society because he wasn't nurtured, he wasn't loved. And this is what happens to a genius like that when they have no nurturing, no love, no guidance. And that's what he's become, the epitome of that. He hates the world because the world abandoned him. And I see him as somebody who wants to be the warden of a mechanized prison that captures the consciousness of the world. And Sonic is a power that he needs, because if you control the power grid, you control the world. He's a wonderful character to play. And of course, he's a 300 IQ, so it took me a week and a half to prepare. You know, it's just wonderful. And all it really comes down to is he wants to be special to somebody, you know? Only it's gone megalomania for him. He wants to be special to everyone. In fact, he wants to be the king of everyone. And, you know, another thing he really, really wants is to be able to get a latte the way he wants it, with Austrian goat's milk. Robotnik is a little tiny piece of nothing in his own mind, and he's blown himself into gargantuan proportions. He is as smart as heck, you know. He is the smartest one in the room. But there's smart, and then there's spiritually dumb, you know. And I'm sure you could take a lot of the smartest people and put them in a room, and when it comes to life, they can't carry water, you know. And that's kind of it. You know, he lives through his invention. He wants to capture the world and the world's consciousness and control humanity with his machines. And of course, we're not dealing with any of that, are we? So I think I'm kind of right in the zeitgeist with this character. I just dealt with him as an ego out of control, as somebody who believes themselves completely separate from the rest of the world, and so he must conquer those who betrayed him. You know, everybody becomes his mother and father, and you know, and he's the Eggman. Am I allowed to say that? He's the Eggman, and I'm the Walrus. So I think it's pretty perfect for me.
Okay, am I the only one that like absolutely adores how Jim Carrey explains Dr. Robotnik? I think that Dr. Robotnik, like through Jim Carrey's words, he just has so much more of a lore now. Like he has like an actual backstory that makes sense and that coincides with his personality. You know, describing him as someone who's like this self-absorbed guy who feels useless at the same time, like it's just such an interesting conundrum that he came up with, and I can definitely tell that he's implementing that into his performance based on all the clips I've seen. You know, Jim Carrey really is just something else. I just love the way that he explains things, and he definitely is starting to earn me as like a fan. I mean, I think I've seen a good amount of his movies beforehand, but I'm just not the kind of person who's really big on actors and really following them. I'm just kind of like, oh, I like this movie a lot. I don't really care as much about who made it or who was starring in it. You know, that's just who I am. But just listening to Jim Carrey explain Dr. Robotnik was such a treat, and I really enjoyed his thought process. At number 6, to kind of kick off at that point, Jim Carrey also thought it was important to physicalize of the evil in Dr. Robotnik, and the specific example he talks about is that infamous dance scene in the review trailer of the new design. So here's what Jim Carrey had to say.
It's wonderful to be able to physicalize that evil, that self-centeredness, that constantly acting as if there's a spotlight on you, you know, and everybody's really interested in what you have to say. And if they're not, they must be banished. You know, I think that it became a physical dance, and that's why we had that kind of weird dance sequence in it. It's very edgy. And the music, Evil Grows, was something I heard when I was a child, and I said to Jeff, what about that song, Evil Grows? You know, evil grows in cracks and holes and lives in people's minds. You know, evil grows in the dark. And it's kind of a cool song that I grew up with, but I didn't know if it was big in America or anything like that. And they all knew the song. I guess it was a hit everywhere. And they said, oh, we'll throw that on, see what happens. And it was perfect. It was just the perfect thing for Robotnik. And at the same time, we found out, shooting in Vancouver, that it was a Vancouver band that had written and recorded the song. And so it was just really cool kismet, you know? We brought that back from the Netherlands.
I just love that actors like Jim Carrey think about not just how they deliver their lines through their words, but also how they look when they do it as well. And so he really found the importance in physicalizing the evil in Dr. Robotnik. And I think that dance was just such a great way to show off the insanity that Dr. Robotnik has. I'm pretty sure Dr. Robotnik has busted out a few moves in TV shows like Sonic X and Sonic Boom. I'm not sure about the games, but you know, maybe in the future, who knows? Maybe we'll see Dr. Eggman do like some Fortnite dances in the next game. I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of like, don't even suggest that to them, writers. I'm in the comments section, so yeah, ignore what I said. At number 7, Ben Schwartz reviewed an interesting thing about the film that I think may come into play as like a really important plot element. So here's what he had to say about what Sonic went through when he was a baby.
One of the things that I thought about was that he does it all the time and he's super confident. I feel like also he's never really had a villain like Robotnik before. He's never really been defeated. You know, when he was a baby, he went through obviously a tough experience, but so he's so confident that when these these very high intensity situations happen, he's still cracking jokes and whatever because he's gonna be fine. So it's only until he sees Jim Carrey. So when he's running, he's so confident and he's, you know what I mean, that he can, I don't have to do it, but whenever there's efforts, like pushing, whatever, I would talk through those efforts. But running, I thought he's done it so many times.
So Baby Sonic went through a tough time that's apparently going to have some kind of impact on present Sonic. And so I wonder what that tough time is. It may have to do with, like, you know, those echidnas or something that we saw back when the Baby Sonic was reviewed, and we saw those mysterious figures in the background with Baby Sonic in that one scene. That could be what he's referring to, but we won't know for sure until the movie comes out. And so I'm really interested in seeing what the role of that is and what Sonic's tough time exactly was as a baby and how it shaped his current character. At number 8, I just thought this was really amusing, but James Marsden said that when he was acting with Sonic, he actually acted with a sandbag.
Obviously with Sonic being CG, on set, what are you given when you're physically touching him? Like if you high five him,
right,
or
good question.
what do you touch?
Right, yeah, so it's easier when you're just looking at him, right? Because it's like a C-stand with a little piece of tape, or they stand up a little stuffed animal there. If I'm holding him, there's a blue bean bag, like a shot bag, so that there's weight. It looks like, you know, because if you're just doing this, it doesn't look like you're holding anything that has weight to it. So it would be a green or blue. Green because it's chroma key green. It's easy for the CGI artist to take it out.
Yeah.
Beanbag, hell, about took 12 pounds.
And so I don't know, just thinking about James like holding like a blue Sonic sandbag or something like that, or just like talking to a sandbag while filming, that just sounds really, really interesting. I also saw this one clip where there was this like Sonic statue that was sitting in the car seat. So I think James would also act with that at some point. So I thought it was just really extremely interesting to hear about that. And just the picture of James talking to a sandbag kind of gives me life, I'm not gonna lie. So that's really cool. At number 9, this is such a random thing. Like, it was so random that I feel like I just had to include it, but the producers thought a lot about how much Sonic weighed.
And there was discussion about how much Sonic weighs.
How much does Sonic weigh?
How tall is he and how much he weighs? I'm gonna get this wrong, but I think he's like 18 to 20 pounds, something like that.
That's interesting.
I could be wrong on that. I'll have to ask the showrunners again.
And so they came to the conclusion that Sonic weighed about 18 to 20 pounds according to this quote. And I guess that makes sense for Sonic. You know, he's not supposed to be a really heavy guy, and he's also really fast, so it would make sense for him to have a very small weight because of his abilities. But I just thought it was funny that they thought about how much he weighed, because I'm not really sure how much of an impact that has on filming. I mean, maybe it does, but I don't know. I don't really see it. And number 10, so Ben Schwartz also had his own way of explaining Sonic, and so here's what Ben had to say.
The way that I approached it is, first of all, I played the games, and I realized how fast that he ran, and I was like, okay, I want to find a way to bring the speed and energy into the performance. And then I read the script, and I was like, you know what this is? Let's strip away that it's a hedgehog. It's a little boy that is really excited to do things and has never been allowed to do things, and all of a sudden now he's allowed. He's allowed to have a friend, he's allowed to do all these things. If I could find a way to bring the energy of being a little kid and like show, oh my God, we can do this, we can do this. I was like, if I could do that, I think then people will really connect with him a bit more and almost be like, oh, it happens to be a kid that looks like, you know what I mean? And then like the bromance works better, and then the heart works better. So That was the goal.
So Ben's explanation of Sonic is pretty similar to how Jim Carrey stated it, but I think Ben went into more about like how Sonic is kind of seen as this little kid who's just really excited about life and just kind of wants to like explore everything that he sees, and you definitely get that vibe from the trailers. You know, Sonic is in what's supposedly a brand new world for him, and so he has so much more to explore when he reaches this world compared to where he lives back at home. So I thought that was a really cool way of looking at Sonic, and I'm really looking forward to seeing like how that Sonic grows and develops within the movie. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to say. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What were some of your favorite things that I talked about in this video? Do you think the Sonic movie is gonna get a sequel? Let me know why or why not in the comment section below. If there's anything else that was said in other interviews that I missed, then please let me know in the comment section below so I can take a look at them and everyone else can take a look at them as well. But yeah, thank you so much. Okay, please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe to my channel if you like videos like these, want to see more in the future, follow me on Twitter or Twitch, and join my Discord server, the Spongy Garden. Special shout out to Reese Gaming, Team Rival Sonic Gamer, Andrew Coughlin, and Desiree Webb. These are my patrons / YouTube members. If you'd like to become a patron or a YouTube member, get access to a whole bunch of different perks, and please check out the links in the description box below. But alright, this is Riders, riding out.